Hello students, in this video we're going to design the wing for our aeroplane. It's a continuation on designing the whole aeroplane, so we've already done the body at this stage. So the first thing I'll do is come into the aeroplane unit of work and I'll scroll down so I can see the wing dimensions. It's going to start with a 250mm wide by 70mm thick piece of material essentially. We are going to again design this in a template style, so we're not worried about the thickness yet, but it is good to note that it will be 3mm thick eventually. So jumping into SketchUp, I've already got one open here. I'm also going to go into my existing airplane model where I've already done the body, and we're going to learn a couple of things before we even get further. So this is something like you should have the body of your airplane. Remember, it is currently a flat model. We haven't done any thickness to this yet, so we'll come back and talk about that a bit later. But before we go any further, I'm going to make sure that this is a component because I'm going to also model the wing here, and I want to be able to easily hide and show different parts. So as we've seen in earlier projects, let's make this into a component. Now I've already done that in this video, but remember you would highlight it and you would say make component and give it a name. I've called mine the body. Okay, so you should have a single piece as your body. Okay, the next thing I want to do is simply hide this. I want to take it away so that it's not visible on screen. So I can do that by right clicking on it now that it's a component, and I can simply choose hide. Now be aware that's hidden, not deleted, and the way I'd bring it back is to come over to my right hand menu to this little pair of glasses. I would click on that and I would have some options here for showing and hiding things. So the first thing I can do is I can unhide either all the pieces, the last piece that was hidden, or the selected. Now that might seem a bit confusing because how do you select something that's hidden? Well, I'll show you that in a second. But if I just said unhide all, then everything that was hidden currently would come back on the screen. If I hide this again very quickly, and instead of using these options, I go just a little bit further down, this is my view options, what it is that I can see on the screen. And the first one is hidden objects. And notice at the moment, and by default, it's turned off. But if I tick that, you'll see that there is a sort of outline, if you like, of my aeroplane body. It's hidden still technically, but I can still see it now, and as you just saw, I can click on it to select it, and that's where I could then use that selection and come back up to the top here and choose the selected objects and unhide it that way. So it allows you to, if you've got multiple hidden objects, not unhide them all and then have to go and rehide some of them. You can say, hey, show me the hidden ones. I can then choose the ones that I want to affect and unhide them. But again, for now, I do want to hide this, and I'm going to turn off the hidden objects as well just for the moment, so it goes away. Alrighty, let's get into drawing this actual wing. So just like with the body, I'm going to begin by drawing a shape that represents the piece of material. So I'm doing a rectangle again, and it should be 250 by 70. So I'm just typing those dimensions in, press enter, and there is my piece. Okay, so just like before, I'm starting with the basic shape. I also now want to go into plan view. So again, from the right hand menu, you may have closed it or not, but from the right hand menu, remember we come to the little movie clapper, and we go to standard views, and we go to plan view or top view, and we're now looking directly down. I'll hide that menu and just zoom in a little bit closer as well. All right, let's have a little chat about the wing. So if you have never seen an airplane before, the wings are triangular roughly, and they're generally symmetrical in shape. So from our design, sorry, and if I just go back again for a second, you see that we have a line at the halfway because we want both halves to be symmetrical. So jumping back here, we're going to put a construction line in using our tape measure at 125mm, which is halfway of our aeroplane wing. So the idea is whatever we draw on one side now, we want to draw on the other side. And there are many ways you can go about drawing this wing. So the simplest wing could be simply taking a line from the middle to the corner, same on the other side. And in theory, if I now rub out these lines here, I've got an aeroplane wing. But it doesn't look like any wing I've ever seen. I don't know any aeroplanes except maybe some fancy military jets that have really pointy wings. They just don't look like that. So I'm not too happy with that. So I'm going to undo those deletions and those lines, and I'm going to try and do something a little bit better. So I might come in here with my favorite 2-point curve, and I might say, let's try doing a curve in a similar way. So maybe something like this. Oops, I didn't click that. Try that again. There we go. And again, if I delete those lines, have a look at that. Well, it's a bit better up the top, although I did stuff up this line actually, but it's still pointy in the corners. It's still very flat over here. So I'm still not very happy with that. So I'm going to go through now how I would actually design this. I want a curvature up here. I want a curvature down here and a nice curvature down here. So I'm going to use circles to do that. So I'm going to draw circles in the corners, and part of this circle is going to end up being the rounded tip of my wing. And of course there are other ways you can do this, but this is just one way that I like. Now, I could just randomly draw the circle, but I'm going to, again, use my construction lines to help me out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build a construction line in from the edge 10 millimeters on both ends because I want some symmetry. So let's do that. I'm also going to bring a construction line from the bottom 10 millimeters and one from the top 10 millimeters. And what this does is gives me nice little crossover points where I can start my circles and have them nice and consistent. So if I take my circle now and I start them on a crossover point, and I make them go as wide as the edge, and it'll be the same on both sides because I made sure it was 10 millimeters both ways, then I'm getting these nice equal amounts of curvature. And again, as I said, I could do this in other ways, but these give me some nice points. What I'm then going to do is take my pencil tool, and I'm going to go from sort of the top point, if you like, of a circle to the equivalent sort of point on the next circle. So I'm just trying to basically draw a line that nice and flatly joins that circle. And if I do the same on the other side, okay, and I do maybe, and I won't do the bottom one, yeah, I'll keep that. If I now rub out these lines, you'll see I'm getting nice circle curvatures in those areas. And if I zoom in a little bit closer, I can just rub out these sharp corner parts. And I'll do the same on the other side, if I can just get to it. Sorry about the zooming. Over here. And I can also rub out the parts of the circle that I don't need. So that part there, and that part there. So I've got a much smoother, rounder wing. I can rub out my construction lines that I no longer need. And there is a fairly nice symmetrical wing. I do think the back's a little flat for my personal preference. So what I might do is undo those deletions of the construction lines at this point. And what I might in fact do is again take my 2-point curve, and I might use this construction point, that construction point, and bring it up to there as well. And I might delete this back part to get an even more curved wing. Now I'll delete all my construction lines again. And there we go. I've got a wing that I'm moderately happy with. Now again, you don't have to do yours exactly like I've done mine. You might want to take some of my ideas. You might want to use something other than the circle, or you might want some pointy parts here and there. It's entirely up to you, but again, you want it to look at least semi-realistic. And as I said, most airplanes I've ever seen anyway don't have really sharp, pointy wings. It just doesn't work. So have a little think and try and come up with a nice design for your airplane. Sorry, your airplane wing. All right, so now that we've actually designed the wing, we're again going to need to generate this as a template. And I'm going to do another video on that process, just to sort of separate the two out a little bit. But one thing I will do before I go any further is take this wing piece, and I'm also going to make another component. So right clicking on it, make component. I'll call this the wing, just so it's ready to go by itself. And if I zoom out a little bit, and again come to my little sunglasses or pair of glasses here, and I'm going to unhide all items now, I now have in my file the body of my airplane as a component and the wing of my airplane as a component. And that's where I'm going to leave this particular video. Please watch the next one, which will be linked in our lesson log, for how to take the wing and prepare it for laser cutting here at school, basically how to get that template submitted. So thanks for watching this one, and hopefully you are now at the same stage that I am.